Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Here for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 453, we're going to talk about Yawgmoth, the Thran Physician. Now, oh gosh, it's been months. Was it 6, 7 months ago? And I've looked back and I do apologize. The very first deck request I got from a patron was for a Phyrexian deck. And I had one kind of earmarked set aside that I had kind of was throwing cards into, Urtai the Corrupted, because I hadn't used that, and I thought, well, he's been corrupted, so that would be great. And then we got Yawgmoth, and I full stop went mono black. So here is the Phyrexian deck. Now, Yawgmoth, 4 mana, 2/4, protection from humans. I love it. And if I made it through most of the Thran, the old novel, and you kind of see life through Yawgmoth's eyes, and you can start to see where he kind of went wrong. But anyway, protects from humans. You pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, so you cannot sacrifice himself, because he wouldn't do that, do no harm and whatnot. Well, to yourself, anyway. To put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature and draw a card. So you pay a life, sack a creature to get to put a -1 counter on something and draw a card. Okay, and then double black, discard a card, proliferate. So it looks like we're sacking creatures to eventually kill creatures. Okay. And the -1/-1 counter thing is where my mind stuck. And the fact that this is Phyrexian. So, this is an Infect deck. Just hardcore. First, let's go through the actual Infect creatures. Now, this is just now, there is no Blightsteel Colossus in here because I didn't have another copy of that gajillion-dollar card. But here are the... And what I have found out about Infect is it's rarely ever the big ones that get you there. It's the ones, especially with our commander having Proliferate on it. If we can just get everybody on 1, then we can get the rest of the way there. So here, real quick, is our Infect team. Flesh Eater Imp, Phyrexian Vat Mother, Core Prowler, Reaper of Sheoldred, Phyrexian Juggernaut, Whispering Spectre, Septic Rats, Phyrexian Ingester, Ichor Rats, Contagious Nim, Necropede, Flincermite, Plague Stinger, and Vector Asp. Now, as with any good Infect deck, which we've got other creatures in there, but before we get to those, let's get to the mana ramp. And let's go ahead and save the best one there for last. Of course, we got a Dark Ritual. We're in mono black. Plague Mirror, which is everything we want. It's ramp and Infect. Star Compass, Leaden Mirror. Songs of the Damned is going to work great in here because we are discarding cards and sacking creatures. So, Songs of the Damned is probably going to get us some mana. A Wayfarer's Bauble, and most importantly, Soul Ring. Now, this particular Soul Ring, isn't that gorgeous? This is the work of Ryan over at Commander Cookout Podcast. By the way, here, I got a sticker, but it's stuck to the thing. This is their logo. They do Commander Cookout is a podcast that they do about once a week, and then Ryan also does the Commander Ad Populum podcast, and he is an exceptional altarist. Absolutely, hands down. And I was able... He did this not for me. He did it, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a Phyrexian Soul Ring. I've got to have it. I think what I told him was, I said, Yawgmoth has to have that. So I was super excited to get it. He does fantastic work. I know, I think every Thursday he puts up his... he's got a Facebook group. I'm no longer on the Book of Faces, but he's got a Facebook group where he puts up this week's altars, and I mean he does a phenomenal job. Everything I've seen, I'm probably going to get him to do some of the new snow-covered forest as Christmas trees, because I've got to have a Christmas deck, right? I mean, what is that? Elves and snow-covered, and anyway, just wanted to show the Soul Ring. It's a beautiful card. I love it. But let's get into the other creatures, or I don't know, maybe not. Okay, we have Phyresis that is going to give something infect. We have Tainted Strike. Now, Tainted Strike is quite possibly my favorite infect card ever. I run it in cards or in decks where I'm not focused on infect. Because there's nothing greater than player 2 attacking player 3, and it's for like 13, and you're like, huh, no blockers, huh? And you just Tainted Strike that creature, and they end up killing the opponent. It's especially useful if you have no way to deal with that opponent yourself. So, bring that here. There's cards that came in. We'll have to open this up later in the video. Thank you, Mr. Mailman, sir.
Welcome.
But the Tainted Strike, I'm just like, well, you attacked him. I assumed you wanted to kill him. And then, of course, we have Caress of Phyrexia, which more than likely, this is not us. Caress of Phyrexia is in there because a lot of times I find it easy to get to that 6, 7, 8, but it's hard to close out and get those last couple of poison counters. So, you know what? Draw 3, take 3 counters. Now, that being said, infect creatures are typically not large. Now, Endless Scream is a permanent Howl from Beyond. I mean, you can get this on... yeah, right? So, you're just going to Endless Scream for like 5 or 6. I mean, 6 is not... What is that? 7 mana? Or just get it enough to where it's a one-hit kill. Because if it's a one-hit kill and you've got 10 poison waiting right there, and maybe you've got the Rogue's Passage out there, or something else, Lash Rise to put on that infect creature just to make it huge. Hey, why not? Oh, and I'm also running Leshrax's Right. Yes, not a lot of people use this card, but giving your creature Swamp Walk, you knew it was in there, right? It's the Tomb of Yawgmoth. It had to be in there. So if Leshrax's Right is giving the creature Swamp Walk and all lands are swamps, then you know what? It's unblockable. And that's unfortunate for whoever is on the other end. Now, let's see. Do we have any other ways to pump up our infect creatures? Yeah. Sadistic Gleed. Whenever any creature is put into any graveyard from play. Now, we'll go back to our commander that sacrifices creatures for his ability to put a 1/1 counter on enchanted creature, so we're just going to pump up that infect creature again, or a different one. Now, the rest of these cards are not infect, but they have things to do with it, like Dalthy Horror and Dalthy Slayer are both shadow creatures, so they are absolutely wonderful in holding the infect equipment / auras. So, you know, they're not blocking it because, let's face it, nobody plays shadow. Nobody does. You hardly ever see it. And really, blue, white, black, because green didn't get any and red didn't get any to speak of. They got ways to block it and stuff, but nobody runs that stuff. Gray Merchant of Asphodel is just a good card to play. But then once Gary is on the board, unless we have crazy Blinky shenanigans, which we don't, he's just a 2/4 on the board. So we can sack him to Yawgmoth. That's fine. Abhorrent Overlord is going to get us a whole bunch of harpies that we can then use those harpies to sack. Graveyard Marshal exiling those creatures that we have sacked to get more zombies so that we can keep on sacking. So, um, Dread Presence. Now, I kind of like this one. I just, okay, I realize landfall is not an evergreen keyword, but I would really like there to be an addendum to it. Swamp Fall is what I'm calling this, and I think that could work. Island Fall, Plains Fall, Forest Fall. Oh, that sounds cool. Mountain Fall. Anyway, this has got Swamp Fall. Either you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Hey, that's fine. Or it deals 2 damage to any target and you gain 2 life. That's also fine. This is not bad. Uh, Zulaport Cutthroat. Since, we are sacking our own guys, we might as well get something else out of the deal. Blight Beetle. I'll admit this is probably a hate card because they keep on printing Hydras, and I get it. Hydras are the green iconic now. It took them forever to actually get green and iconic. I'm so glad it wasn't worms. But +1/+1 counter strategies are very, very popular now. Yeah, it's a nightmare, I know, but we're playing mono black. I've got the Urborg. We're having all swamps. It's like it's. I remember back in the day when Nightmare was just a powerhouse creature, and now it's just kind of eh. But in our format, there are many, many times when we've got 12, 15 lands out, and you draw a Nightmare, okay, and let's strap it up and give it Infect. Now you're talking. And I am running Villas. Pay 2 life, target creature gets -1/-1, because that's kind of the theme. And whenever you lose life, you draw that many cards. So, hey, this is a giant flying card drawing machine in this particular deck. The other creatures here, Nether Shadow, Reassembling Skeleton, and Ashen Ghoul, are all about recurring themselves from the graveyard to being able to keep sacking. And then, of course, I have a breeding pool because I want to create that 0/1 thrall that I can sack every turn. Speaking of sacking, our last non-basic, might as well show you the Lake of the Dead because I've peppered the others in there, but that's our last non-basic. And we are passing out -1/-1 counter, so that's why I'm running the Bowfly Infestation and the Crumbling Ashes. Now, Exhume is risky. I mean, it really, really is. You have to make sure that of what everybody has in their graveyard before you just go around casting Exhume all willy-nilly. But let's look at the rest here. What we got? Of course, I have a Diabolic Tutor to go find whatever pieces. As far as tutors go, I don't mind tutors so much. 1 or 2 in a deck, that's what I try to use because there are times, I mean, we put the tutor in there not necessarily to go complete a 2-card instant win combo, but there are times, I mean, raise your hand if you've ever tutored for a land. I know I have. Big time. But it's just a decent card. I mean, technically, it is always the best card in your deck. Now, Diabolic Tutor does cost 4 mana, and it does, more times than not, it takes that entire turn. I mean, but I encourage you, if you're running any kind of tuners, before you cast that tutor and pick up your deck, know what you're getting. Or do it at the end of your turn. Like, I'm going to cast Diabolic Tutor. I'll find my card when I'm done so that the turn rotation can still go around, and then we'll just complete my turn here. Okay, done. Now I'm going to tutor. That way, the whole table is not waiting for me to, siphon through a, 89 card deck and find the exact perfect thing. But anyway, Contagion Clasp to proliferate, and then Decimator Web. I really like Decimator Web. The idea of the 10% model. Now, I say 10% because obviously this card was built for 60-card Magic because they weren't exactly making cards for Commander back then. And the idea was 4 to cast, 4 to use. It gets you 10% closer to every win condition. It does 10% of their life, 2 life, 10% of the poison, 1 poison, and then 10% of their cards, so they mill 6. So that's, of course, with us being 40, 10, and 100, it throws that math off a little bit. But it is a way to give a person a poison counter without actually attacking them. Because there are going to be times when somebody's pillow forted up and you just can't get a creature through. Well, the Decimator Web can get the first one there, and then you can start proliferating from there. Got a little bit of card draw and Sign in Blood, Read the Bones, Ransack the Lab, and let's look at Rime Transfusion. Of course, yes, all my basics are snow-covered swamps. For this reason and for... But now, this target creature can't be blocked this turn except by snow creatures. Very few snow creatures have made their way into EDH, so it's, what, we're going to say 98% of the time unblockable. And that leads me to my next snow card, which is, I'll admit, it's a panic button. There are times when we just got to, we got to fire sale the board. Everything must go. Okay, and that puts us squarely into removal. Spread the Sickness. Pop a creature, proliferate. Normally we wouldn't pay 5 mana for that at sorcery speed, but we are now. Deathmark. Doomblade. Grim Affliction. Pass out a counter and then proliferate, so that's not bad. Running the Ley Line of the Void because we are killing creatures. We're killing our opponent's creatures, so we might as well not have to worry about them getting them back. Graveyard is just a second hand in our format, and this is a way to just nullify that. I don't even mind if I cast it for 4, I don't have to have the freebie. So, we have Force of Despair. Gonna try that one out. Massacre, the original Black Wrath, as they called it. Virtue's Ruin. And our last card is Dictate of Erebos. So the Dictate of Erebos is there, obviously, because we are sacrificing creatures. And the other version, the 1 mana cheaper version, is a little expensive. Oh, is it the Arena? No? Yeah, maybe. Anyway. That is it for Mr. Yawgmoth and the poisonous there. Been looking forward to actually doing the Yawg. Oh yeah, here's something. I have found a use for the art cards. So for the cards for the commanders that these exist for, I went ahead and put the art card in the back of the sleeve. Now what that matters, I don't know. Is anybody ever going to see it? Probably not. How many times do you look at the back of somebody's commander card? You see what I'm saying? I guess it could look really cool on top of the deck box, which is probably what I'll do. Here, let's see how that looks. Put our deck in here. Yeah, we're definitely going to need shuffle. I got 4 poison counters because I figured 1 for everybody, and then they can, just add dice to them. So that's how it's going to look on the shelf, and I guess that's not bad. That's pretty cool looking, right? But let's look at this thing. That's plastic. I've got a cut over here. I cannot even remember what I ordered, so this is a super surprise to me as well. Man, that looks like a bunch of cards. Oh, yeah. By the way, these are crazy cheap. That's why I ordered them. I think what did I pay for these? I paid 25 cents for the Shielded by Faith, and I paid 48 cents for the True Conviction. So that was what I got there. I mean, these are cards that I'm probably going to run forever, right? So, I figured get them now while the getting is cheap, because let's face it, they're not always going to be this cheap. So, Anyway, let's put Mr. Yawgmoth here up on the wall. Oh, sorry about that glare. I have fluorescent lighting in here, and it's going to be one of those things where I just have to, I don't know, maybe cover it with something or mute the loudness of that light. I don't know. But anyway, I do appreciate y'all watching. Thank you very much. And it's glad to fulfill, and I do apologize that it took so long to get the very first deck request that I ever had. I'm sorry. The next deck request I have is Carador. I have that from a patron to finish it, and which is I haven't done yet. I have got right there, and I don't know, what is that? I'm close. So I think we'll put that out and we'll work on it next. Try to get Carador done and get caught up. Hopefully to get caught up and to get several decks rolling, because we've got Commander coming out. We have Commander, and then we're going to Fairy Tale World, which makes me believe that in Fairy Tale World, guess what? There's going to be legendary creatures, and we know it. So anyway, plus I've got a vacation coming up. I'm about to record up a bunch of stuff so y'all won't miss any content while I'm gone to the Eastern Seaboard to pick up my son. I appreciate y'all. I'm just rambling now. I appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I think we're going to shuffle and cut.